I guess we're starting. Compatriots and friends, welcome. I'm delighted to see so many of you here in person and online. We have quite a few people attending us via Zoom. Now, I'll do a bit of news, a couple of news. The first one is the sad news of the death of Ismail Kadare. It's sad for all of us because he was so much part of our history, part of our upbringing. But the good thing is that his wonderful and evocative prose will be one of our greatest treasures of all Albanians. The second piece of news is that His Majesty's government has appointed Mr. Nicholas Abbott as the next ambassador to Albania. Many of you might remember him from his recent posting to Kosovo. Wonderful and a very skilled diplomat. I really anticipate working with him. But tonight we gather to celebrate the term of Ambassador Alastair King-Smith in Albania, which soon comes to an end. We celebrate the time that we spend there rather than Albania being free of him. So we will reminisce about his impactful and eventful tenure. Going a little further back, Alastair studied classics, read classics at Trinity College, Cambridge, and served as a diplomat since 1996. At the Foreign Office, he's managed diverse portfolios, including the pandemic response, media freedom, elections, and counter-terrorism. He speaks Albanian, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, French, and Arabic, having worked and studied in Iraq, Libya, Sudan, and Egypt. I suppose that's the language I will not learn. After a year of training in Albanian, Alastair took up his post in Tirana in August of 2021, during the pandemic. The outlook of his term might have initially appeared to be weak and destined to be quiet, yet his contributions have been anything but. Over his 3-year service, he has significantly contributed to Albania's institutional reforms, particularly in the judiciary and education sectors. He's been a vocal advocate for the marginalized groups, for women, and for the LGBT community. Alastair has supported Albania's democracy, its electoral process, encouraging the opposition to return to parliament, and backing the government's modernization effort. In recent years, Albania has undergone remarkable changes, noticeable for any visiting tourist. Tirana now attracts Italians who go there to retire or to straighten their nose. An American digital nomad, while Dora and Aranda lure sun-seeking Romans and Poles. The highlands drawing hikers from Czechia and Slovakia, and hosting summits for European leaders has become routine for Albanians. You may easily believe me when I say that making speeches has become quite frequent in the last year for me, and I try to avoid cliches and repeated soundbites. But one thing I never tire of saying is that Britain has no truer friend in Europe than Albania. And that is one point, one fact that Ambassador King-Smith has recognized and indeed championed. An appreciation of this is the recent visit of the British Foreign Secretary, Cameron, to Albania, highlighting our collaboration in transport, defence, trade, and tourism. Thanks to Alastair's efforts, UK-Albania relations are stronger than ever and poised to grow even further. For all these, I and we say to you, thank you very much and good luck. You can, but before you, Stephen might want to say something.
No, I won't say anything now, but I may say something later.
Okay, we're going to wait for Anthony to say something. Review it.
Well, it's lovely to be here again, and Ambassador Ferizi, great pleasure to be hosted by you. And the collaboration that we have had since you started as ambassador has been exceptional. So really thanks to you and the embassy for all you continue to do, because it's only by this mode of partnership that we achieve anything. But I also want to start with the rather sadder note that you mentioned of the passing of Ismail Kadare, one of the most distinguished and renowned writers, and certainly both in Albanian, but translated into many, many languages across the world. But as my teachers, Mirella and Mirella being here tonight, would know, that was one of the first parts of Albanian literature that I got to know, particularly through Broken April, which is an extraordinary book, and many of Ismail's books really elucidate some of the extraordinary history and the culture and the evocative aspects of Albania of the past. In fact, the first person I met in Albania was his daughter Besiana Kadare, who at the time was Albania's representative to the United Nations. And so it was a great delight actually to meet the family, to meet Ismail himself and Helena, his wife. So our sincere condolences both to the family, but also for all Albanians all over the world, who Ismail Kadare was a really crucial figure, both as a poet and an author. Actually, it is those cultural and people connections that have been the real joy for me as ambassador. And in the 3 years that I've been there since August 2021, and before that, before I was ambassador, learning Albanian, first was up in Shkodra and meeting friends there, some of whom are still friends. That's before I was ambassador, was a very good way of learning more about Albania than just the formal side of government relations. And Shkodra has a special place in my heart, and I was just up there this week, last week on Wednesday. Indeed, we were holding a sort of succession to King's birthday party we'd done in Tirana the previous week, as a great British tea party, and celebrating the British investment in northern Albania. And Shkodra certainly has a very special part of the cultural heritage of Albania. Now, of course, many people focusing on Albania now will focus on the coast. The coast is amazing. It's the most lovely place to go for a holiday, a huge potential for the future, and I may come back to that. But I also think the mountains and the north of Albania, or mountains elsewhere, those of you who have visited will know, have even more potential. I think when we first talked about also some of your family connections to Kukus, when I was up there just a couple of weeks ago, seeing the progress we've made over the last couple of years of investing in the north, engaging young people, skills and job opportunities. And we've really seen a shift. And I think one of the things I've been proudest of is championing what we do in the north, in Kukus, in Dibra, and indeed more widely in Shkodra and so on. When I first started as ambassador, as some of you will know, the British government was very much focused on some of the challenges around organised crime, around democratisation. It was a period of elections up till April 21, like just after, and as the new government was starting in September 2021. And those aspects have obviously remained part of our priorities, but I was clear that we needed to have a broad-based partnership, and I'm delighted that we've succeeded in that. We've seen trade doubling in each of the last couple of years. We now have a British Chamber of Commerce in Albania with the best of both British and British Albanian companies. We have, and indeed it's great to see Claudia Nalibei, our chairman of the British Chamber, with us this evening, but also now hopefully being replicated with a British Albanian Chamber of Commerce at this end as well, and linking in more of the diaspora businesses too. And that economic development, I think, is going to be a sustained and important part of our future partnership. We want to unlock the £4 billion of UK export finance, which enables Albania to develop its infrastructure, its railways and energy. And we were announcing our interest to explore things like the Durrës-Pristina railway just a month ago. There's a lot more to do in the economic space, but I hope that that now is in gear, will really thrive over the future period. Uran, you also mentioned the issues around justice and rule of law. That's something else. You can't succeed on any one set of challenges, whether it's migration, whether it's organised crime, unless you have a broad-based rule of law. And Albania's made great strides in the last few years, but there's definitely some more efforts needed. There's been a lot of progress on the special prosecutor for organised crime and corruption. And indeed, thanks to Dr. Andy Hotchai, who is with us, for hosting with Rusi just last week, the Special Prosecutor here. We have a really strong collaboration in that field. I was just actually at lunch today with Lord Justice Dingerman, who heads up international effort for the judiciary of England and Wales, and he was out 2 months ago for a really important set of engagement with the judiciary of Albania, and really looking at how we can create now a judicial partnership, exchanges between judges, mentoring, training, and so on. And I think there's a really important moment of time now to capitalise on the reforms that have happened in the past and really look at that next phase of consolidation. I've also been really pleased about how we've been able to collaborate with Albania in the global arena. Albania plays an outsized role, whether that's in NATO, what it's doing around Ukraine, whether it's in the United Nations, previously in the Security Council, now on the Human Rights Council, holding Russia to account for war crimes and other issues. And also playing a real role in promoting international partnerships and global fora, and will be participating at the European Political Community Summit here in July, and also co-chairing together with Italy discussions on migration, but also offered to host European Political Community Summit next year. So really important roles there, and it's really important that we do collaborate much more strongly with our best friends across Europe, and we do count Albania as one of our most important partners internationally and aligned in views, particularly standing up to more hostile states, whether that's Russia, China, or indeed Iran, where Albania pays a price for their support for the Western approach. Of course, one of the big issues that I hadn't perhaps anticipated to be quite to the fore when I first started was the issues of migration. And that had a lot of challenges, but it also had a lot of potential opportunities. Now, the numbers have really dramatically decreased. Over the summer of 2022, as you will have seen, we then saw over 22,000 Albanians come illegally to the United Kingdom. Those numbers have really declined dramatically. So last year, for the whole year, it was under 1,000, 954 to be exact. And this year, it's only at 100, although that may pick up a bit over the summer. But the 30% overall decline in the small boat travel is almost all down to the way that that would change for the number of Albanians. And that's been due to a whole cross-spectrum effort. We now have a joint migration task force, so the Albanian State Police, the National Crime Agency, and our Home Office International Operations team working side by side every day in Tirana, working out how to deal with organised immigration crime. And those law enforcement collaborations are crucial, but it has to lead to investigations, to prosecutions, to convictions. And this summer we will see more joint operations as well, really bearing down on criminality. But that effort has to be matched with prevention. And that's where this investment in the North has been really crucial, but also projecting the positives, the role models, people who are making a success in the North. And we need to sustain that. And we also need to link more into the diaspora here and see the positives and work on those together. Now, we will, as you know, have a new government in the United Kingdom in the next few days. We don't know exactly the complexion of that government. But I hope that while the government will no doubt do a bit of a reset on certain priorities, I hope that Albania will remain among those priorities, and I'm pretty confident that it will be, although it will be more for my successor and you, Uran, to keep that going. I do think it offers some interesting opportunities. Bit of a refresh and look at economic development and how we bring that more to the fore, taking the lessons from Albania and actually helping the rest of Europe apply them, and the partnership that we've had between the UK and Albania. Visas, there's clearly an interest, and I know a lot of friends here talk about the way that some of the visa issues, it's been really challenging, on visit visas particularly. But actually on work visas, 95% of work visas over the last year have been approved, but relatively low numbers because people aren't aware of the opportunities. They aren't aware that, for example, construction work is a priority occupation, and people can get visas, especially for things like that, and other areas where Albanians do wish to work. And I think the other area that we need to keep sustaining is this pivot to the north. It isn't just about the UK. I was really pleased taking ministers up to the north. In Jodra, we had a couple of ministers for local government and parliament affairs with us. In Kukas, we had the Minister for Economy, Culture and Innovation with us, and really helping the national government to pivot more to the north where the investments haven't been there, and then encouraging other donors, other partners, and including the private sector. I think that's going to be crucial, but it's already having impact. We've actually done some research that shows that over the last 18 months, young people who had the intention to migrate previously, those with definite plans, were 35% 18 months ago. That's dropped by 12% to only 23%. And it shows that in a relatively short period of time, you can turn around these sorts of intentions to leave if people have confidence that there may be opportunities in their own areas or elsewhere in the country. One of the other things we're doing is trying to link up these different areas. The north, particularly because it's the source area for many of the migrants who have come here and have family links now, but also obviously there are opportunities in the tourism sector in the south, but youngsters in the north are not aware of them. We're doing career fairs, we're trying to encourage them to do more. And we're really achieving an important result. We've already helped over 1,000 new entrepreneurs have micro-business mentoring with coding and digital marketing skills. We've seen 674 young entrepreneurs get skills, and 120 of those have already secured jobs, and 52 have launched their own businesses. And then we're looking at how in the north you can get more support for IT, for technology labs, skills of the future, but also matching that with career counselling. And then crucially, providing scholarships. Over 120 have been provided already, plans for 30 more to be done. This is through our New Perspectives programme, our flagship programme. But also the British Chamber of Commerce have generously sponsored 50 this year on top of the 20 they did last year, and looking to do more in the future. If you could have scholarships in Albania, and then reinforced by the Achieving Scholarship programme we do as government for people to come for master's programmes, you get the best people then leading the future change in Albania. We've opened 4 youth entrepreneurship centres in Kukas, Tropoja, Has and Dibra, and we're expecting over 2,500 young people to use them in the coming year, and more mentoring and coaching skills, as well as grants for businesses. But then what we've realised is we need a broader approach, and so I'm really delighted that the British Council are now partnering in the north, providing what they call alternative pathways, and they're going to be investing in 146 schools in 8 municipalities. That's really significant because it will enable thousands of youngsters at a much earlier age to see the future and to have better potential to engage. They'll be launching through the British Council 8 multimedia clubs, tackling things like disinformation, use of media, and there'll be community action programs to engage young people and more English language skills, partnering with universities including in Jodra, and partnering with Vodafone on digital skills and STEM training, so science, technology, engineering and maths, to actually reach 10,000 young people. And while what we do is only a drop in the ocean in some ways, it's also a catalyst as well as having a direct impact. And that's going to be crucial because both for those who are still in Albania and might otherwise wish to leave, but also for those coming back, this is going to really turn things around. And we will back that up with a campaign that really injects more pride and a sense of confidence that it is really possible to have a future in Albania, and talking about our future is here. So that is going to build our futures here. Coming back to some of the challenging issues, serious and organised crime is going to remain an important part. Unfortunately, Albanian-linked organised crime groups and networks are some of the best. And unfortunately, that is shown in the numbers of foreign national offenders from Albania in our prisons, still the highest nationality of any nationality, 3 times more than the second largest nationality. And it's a growing challenge internationally. Links into Latin American drug cartels, links to European porn, links across Europe, Dubai and elsewhere, and of course into the United Kingdom. Not just as previously on cocaine, but also on cannabis and other things. And these are difficult topics to deal with. But I do think it's something where in the coming phase, I hope that more people can really squeeze, and it needs the community and the communities here as well, squeeze that sort of an issue. Otherwise, whatever the government do will not be sufficient. We also need to continue to gain on politics. Uran, you mentioned the resumption of Parliament and having the opposition engaging in Parliament. That's important. Of course, also elections coming up in Albania, not until April 2025, if it's on schedule, or maybe earlier, who knows. But those elections are really important, but it's also important that they are free from individuals who are involved in criminality or corruption. And there's a real responsibility for the political parties, as I and other ambassadors have emphasised, to make sure that politics continues to become more clean, to continue efforts on accountability. Unless this nexus between corruption, criminality and politics, and particularly at times of elections, is broken, then we're not going to see the bright future that hopefully Albania will have. That bright future is coming. I mean, you will have seen that tourism is really flourishing. I mean, the estimates are that there may be 40 million tourists, up from 10 million last year, and we're seeing a doubling of British tourists. So, I anticipate that we may get as many as 500,000 British tourists, 500,000 or more British tourists coming to visit, because it's not a surprise. Albania, for any of you who visited, it's a fantastic country. One of the things I've loved most is traveling around the country, meeting people across it, and also, I know many of you are involved in different aspects of cultural activities. The wonderful culture that is there in Albania. I'm delighted we'll be holding our third British Cultural Week this coming September. I may manage to be tempted back for it, but I will definitely be wishing Nicholas Abbott the best of an enjoyable British Cultural Week, whether I'm there or not. But really doing more in culture. This is where the British Council, other engagement, films, sport, various other aspects, music and so on. There's lots of different opportunities there in the cultural field. To finish off, I will miss quite a number of things of Albania. I have a little bit longer because I'll be back in Albania and then finishing on the 12th of August. But it's been a fantastic 3 years, but I hope that I will be able to sustain some of the things that otherwise I will miss. First one is the friendly people. The friendships that I've made have been really special. I think that's something, the warm heart that Albanians bring to connections with anyone, but particularly with Brits, has been really special, and I've really cherished those friendships. I could definitely miss the fresh vegetables and fruit and other food, which in our supermarkets in the UK, it's really hard to find. I'm challenging myself to how to get that, and maybe some Albanian friends can help bring these lovely aspects of the food and of course, drink traditions. I mean, the Albanian wine now, I'd really like to import more Albanian wine. So if I decide to become a businessman, I think that would be a very lucrative thing to do. And the final thing to say is the diversity of the culture, because the extraordinary thing for a country that's relatively small, the census says now with 2.4 million people, a relatively small landmass, have a huge variety and diversity of culture. And going around the country, you really feel that. And I think if Albania can keep that, not become a standardized tourist destination, but really bring these traditions to life across the coast, the mountains, and across the breadth of the country, then I think it's got a huge potential to be the most fantastic place. And I look forward to playing a part, maybe in a smaller way, in the future of continuing that interest in Albania, because once you have experienced the joy of Albania, as most of you in the Anglo-Albanian Association know much better than me, you don't leave Albania, because it really has that special impact on each of us. So thank you very much.
Bravo. Thank you.